Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today I want to talk to you about the death of third-party cookies. This is not exactly news. It kind of is. We're only like halfway through February, and Google said they were going to phase out third-party cookies on their browser, which is Chrome. They were going to phase it out by the end of last year, 2021. So here we are, mid-February 2022. I thought it was past time that I talk about this. It had been on my list for a while and it just got bogged down in other content that I wanted to cover. So let's talk about it. What does this mean? So first of all, let's talk about what third-party cookies are exactly, just in case you're not entirely aware. I'm sure you've heard the term. You may not be able to give an exact definition of what third-party cookies are. So I'm going to lay it out for you right here. So first of all, there are first-party cookies, right? So that tracks what users do on your website. So every time you log into your Google Analytics, you see the traffic that's on your website, how many visitors you got, how many pages they visited, which pages they visited most often, the amount of time they spent there, where they came from, how they got to your website, right? All of that data comes from first-party cookies. Those are not going anywhere. So you still have all that juicy data from your Google Analytics. You don't have to worry about that. Those are still sticking around. What we got rid of was the third-party cookies, which track not only what users do on your website, but all over the internet. So if someone comes to your website and then they visit another website and another website, and let's face it, we all do that, right? No one of us visits just one website. We're all over the place. But the internet is a big place. So if you want to track where exactly your visitors are going once they leave your website, that's a great way to get more information on them. What are their interests? What are their goals? What other search terms are they using? What other content are they consuming? Super valuable for when you run those PPC campaigns, right? PPC stands for pay per click. So if you want to target people, you can put up an ad, again, PPC, so you only pay when someone clicks on the ad, but you can pay for that ad to go up on someone else's website or when someone uses a certain search term. That is super valuable for, again, getting in front of your audience wherever they are, not necessarily on your website, but even on other websites. So if you've ever experienced this, right? I know I experience this all the time where like I'll buy something and then as soon as I buy it, I'm like on another website and an ad pops up for the thing that I just bought. It's like, I don't need this ad because I just bought this thing, right? That's because of third-party cookies, which are now gone. That's not going to be allowed anymore on Chrome. So why should we care about Chrome? Because this is not the first one to do this, right? Safari, Firefox had already banned third-party cookies from their browsers. Why are we suddenly talking about this now that Chrome is the last one to follow suit, or one of the last ones? That is because Chrome is the largest browser. More than half of the web browser market is Chrome. More than half of the website traffic in the world takes place via Chrome. So that means that any online marketers and advertisers that could still use third-party cookies to gather data on more than half of internet users and use that data to create more targeted ads, that's all gone, right? So that's why we care about Chrome. Now, there have been discussions about what this really means as far as why Google decided to do this, right? So we have more regulations. We've got the GDPR, we've got privacy regulations. More and more companies, local, federal, European, American, countries all over the world are passing these laws that ban people and companies from tracking your data. They want to protect consumers' privacy. So we could say, oh, Google just wants to protect our privacy, which, let's be honest, Google has built their company by exploiting our private information. So that seems unlikely. It could be that Google just wants to follow these regulations, right? Maybe they're just being proactive. Maybe a regulation has not specifically hit their third-party cookies yet, but they see the writing on the wall, and it's pretty likely that that's going to happen pretty soon. I would not be surprised that if Google had not taken this step, there would be at least one law somewhere that says you're not allowed to track users' data, right? So it could be that Google just wanted to get ahead of it. But this banning of third-party cookies also means that marketers will still be able to run targeted PPC campaigns to groups of people. So what Google has decided to do instead is they came up with something they call the sandbox, right? So instead of tracking individual users' data, they group people and they say, well, this group of people visits this website, and then they tend to visit these other websites. So you can still get an idea of groups of people. You just can't get their individual information, but that can still give you an idea of if someone, clicks on this website, visits this website, they are likely to also have this interest or go over here and consume this content. So you still can use that information. It's not as accurate, it's not as targeted as it was before, but that's an option, right? So is Google really, what that means is that you are restricted to Google's data, right? All of the data that is collected via Chrome, via Google's data, that's the data you can use to run PPC campaigns. So is Google protecting our privacy, or are they just eliminating the competition, right? Because it seems unlikely that Google is doing this out of the goodness of its heart, just because, let's be honest, we've known Google for a while now, and that just does not seem likely. So what does that mean for you? If you've been running PPC campaigns, if you've been thinking about running PPC campaigns, what does this mean for you now if you can't use that third-party data? Well, it's time to get creative, right? Again, you do still have data you can access. You can still look at the data of the people who come to your website, how they get there, what content they're most interested in. And then because of Google's privacy sandbox, you can still access information on groups of people. So again, if people visit a website, they also are more likely to have these other interests. So you can use that to run these PPC campaigns on other websites and on Google in other search terms. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that this is constantly evolving, not just Google, but the law. So it's entirely possible that another law will pop up that will, again, change the way that we are allowed to run PPC campaigns. So just constantly be aware of that, keeping up to date with what is going on with these various regulations, but also just thinking about the vulnerabilities in your own marketing campaign, in your own PPC campaign. Is there a way you could be doing this that would make you less vulnerable? Are you too reliant on a particular data set or a particular tool or software or a particular company? If you're completely reliant on Google, well, that's good for Google again, right? But not necessarily good for you if something happens to Google, or if Google has to change something like this change in the third-party cookies. So that is it. That is everything that I have for you. If you have any other questions, you know where to find me. I'm over at info@avwritingservices.com, and you can see a whole bunch more information just like this over on my website at avwritingservices.com. Otherwise, have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.